most importantly for me about Jim is he was always there for me. He was just there to help, to be there. When I needed help, he was around. And no questions asked, he was there. We want to go to West Virginia to pick up a black cat. I called him the next morning. We were in the car driving.
Most thing he taught me was when you're in the water, it's just about having a good time. That's it. Doesn't matter how good you surf, doesn't matter how many waves you caught, does not matter. Every time I was in the water with Jimmy, it was a good time.
Jim's that person. There's nobody like Jim.
I loved him like a brother, no doubt about it. He's a good friend, good man, super dependable friend, great surfer.
And Jimmy's standing on the beach and he says, you know what, sometimes you just got to pull the pin. And out he went. And if you know Jimmy, that's what he did.
If you're having such a bad day, he can turn that bad day completely upside down around.
He would tell me, man, I loved that first board, it was great. But you know, you accidentally put side plates in it? I really wish it didn't have the side plates. So for the rest of my life, I will know, never put side plates on Jim's boards.
I think a lot of us kind of felt like when we grow up, we want to be the same type of guy that Jim was.
He says, yeah, you know, if it's no big to do it, you know, you can give me a call. Just give me a little ringy dingy. And we just, ever since then, we called Jimbo the big to do-y. So.
I'm going to miss him. Going to miss his theatrical chats. But I know that I'll see him again. And he's got a beautiful family, and it's a testimony to who he was. So God bless you, Jim.
Clearly, if there ever was a person, Jim's that person. There's nobody like Jim. Nobody like Jim. And nobody drove the local train like it was a Union Pacific cross country, you know, which he did. He dressed the part. The thing I remember best about Jim is he was one of Eric's best friends. And Eric was heartbroken when he died. And me too, but Eric really knew Jim well. Great man, rest in peace, and Godspeed.
Little story about Jim and myself. Big day, super northeast winds, really nasty. So we go down into Bay Head and we try to paddle out. Jim, myself, and my son, and we get rejected. So I go, all right, hey guys, let's go to Jenks. We can always make it out of Jenks. So Jimmy, my son, and I, we go to Jenks and we're paddling out, and it's big. It's really big. We're paddling out right next to the rocks. My son is a little bit next to me, and I'm going up the face of a wave, and I turn over and I glance to my right-hand side, and there's Jimmy going halfway up a wave. He's got a 10-foot board under him. He's got 3 feet above him and 3 feet below him. It is an incredible vision that I have of Jim paddling out in the nastiest stuff with us. He thinks better of it and says, what am I doing? So he goes back to the shore. The next time I turn around, people look like ants on the beach, and my son and I are in the water. There's nobody else out. And my son looks at me, and I look at him, and I said, I think we should go in. So we paddle south. We get out of the break. We both catch a wave, and we come in. And Jimmy's standing on the beach, and he says, you know what? Sometimes you just got to pull the pin. And out he went. And if you know Jimmy, that's what he did.
Jim Bradley stories. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them. First, Jim was, when I first started surfing at age 35, Jim was the one Eric hooked me up to learn how to surf. And he said to me, if you want to learn how to surf, you have to surf throughout the year. And I looked him dead in the eyes and I said, no problem. And he looked at me like, oh boy, here I got a sap for, he's going to get worked. But yeah, he went everywhere with me. The most thing he taught me was when you're in the water, it's just about having a good time. That's it. Doesn't matter how good you surf, doesn't matter how many waves you caught, it does not matter. Every time I was in the water with Jimmy, it was a good time. And I think he left that impression more than anything else. As far as the other craziness with Jimmy, my God, there's too many. You don't have enough time. You really don't have enough time. Let me just say this, okay? Last time I surfed with Jimmy, surf session's over. We're talking, of course. Jimmy's talking mostly. And I'm looking at his wetsuit. And I said, Jim, I think you got your wetsuit on inside out. And he's like, no. Oh, I can't believe it. No wonder I had such a hard time. Joan was helping me, was having this hard time. I said, I got to get a picture of this. And he says, no, don't get a picture. I don't want to be embarrassed. Okay. What does he do on his way home? He stops at the beach house and he tells Eric and shows him that he has his wetsuit inside out. So if anybody could make fun of Jimmy, it was Jimmy. Because it was just enjoy it, laugh, live life. God bless you, Jimmy. I love you, and I hope one day we'll be in the lineup together. God bless you.
Tell me one.
You're ready.
So Jimmy Bradley, I loved him. He was a car guy too. Always tells me stories about his black Jaguar that he has, his XJ, and how he always loves to drive it. He always loves to drive it, but he only has 6,000 miles on it. And then the next time I see him, he still has 6,000 miles on it. And then the next time I see him after that, he still has 6,000 miles on it. I'm like, Jim, you need to drive that car. You need to drive. Oh, I drive it all the time. I drive it all the time. But I love Jim. You know, the day that he passed, unfortunately, I was parked in front of his house and wanted to go see him and had to run. We had to go somewhere, and I didn't take the time, and I totally regret it. I love you, Jim. Godspeed. Hope to see you someday.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tim. So Jimbo, boy, I'll tell you, he was the most colorful guy you could kind of imagine. He always had this energy. It was just very infectious and fun. And I know him from all the board swaps here with Eric and all the guys and John and he'd tell me stories about his getting his shoulder taken care of and working on the train and driving that train for all those years and with Sean and everything. But a funny thing happened to me within the past month. I live right down the road from Jim in Point Pleasant Beach, and I don't see him very often. But other than the swaps, for whatever reason, not sure. But I was reviewing some of my footage from my cameras on our house because I was kind of trying to find something I couldn't find. I misplaced some stuff, and went through their history, and I'm looking through the cameras showing the front of the house by my truck, and I know one particular, I went all the way back to as far as I could go, which is a month. August 19th, I was standing out in front of my house waiting for someone to come pick me up. That day I was off to do a project in the afternoon, and I'm standing out on Ocean Avenue, and a car goes by, and a guy's hanging out the window yelling and giving me the shaka and hollering, and I didn't expect it. I didn't know where it was coming from. But I look, and I see it's Jimbo. And I'm like, hey, I kind of wave and laugh, and I'm like, wow, it warmed me up, just a random day in the middle of the week. Well, that footage I didn't know existed. So the funny thing was that happened, and I laughed about it and didn't think. And a month later, the only day remaining, the farthest day back I could go was August 19th, and that's when Jimbo drove past, and I happened to save that video. So I'm going to try to find it to share it because it was so much fun. But that was Jim. Always popping in to say hello.
You know, there's a lot of us that knew Jim through the shop, through Beach House, and through these board swaps. And Jim was always that classic guy that had the most classic boards. Every single one of them, you know, was kind of the envy of the shop and the rest of us. And I think a lot of us kind of felt like when we grow up, we want to be the same type of guy that Jim was. And always a smile on his face, always super positive. But I got to say, like the boards that are out on display out there definitely personified the kind of polish and kind of best in class of board and best in class of individual that Jim was. I think a lot of us were just lucky to know Jim. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome. Whenever you're ready.
Hey everybody, this is Sean McKenna. I got my son Derek McKenna here with us from Florida. He's moving up very shortly. Derek knew Jim very well. I worked with Jim for 30 years. I loved him like a brother, no doubt about it. He was a good friend, good man, super dependable friend, great surfer, knowledgeable about the sport, knowledgeable about all this stuff. This was a very hard hit for me, personally. I love this guy, I really did. And I guess I have a couple of stories. I don't know how appropriate I can...
We can cut it out.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna go for something here. But it's me. Whatever. But we laughed our asses off forever on that one. That's just funny stuff. Jim was a great guy, no doubt about it, man. I don't know if you can hear Derek or not on this. Can you hear him?
Yeah, you might just put it right down there.
Derek, if you have anything to say at all.
Yeah, I mean, Jim was just a legend. There's not, not really much else. Every time he made you laugh, no matter what. Hell of a surfer, hell of a father to Pat and Lauren, hell of a husband to Joan. Just all there was to it. He would always come in, make you laugh, dead of winter, zoom in and, crack a joke and then in and out faster than the wind. So, that's all I really had to, got to say about Jimbo.
Yeah, that's Jim in a nutshell, right? Yeah. Talk about somebody who will make you laugh every single time you saw him. Every single time. I've spent thousands of hours with this guy over the past 30 plus years. And there was not one time where he did not make you laugh. Anyway, Jim, we love you, man. And yeah, we'll leave it at that. All right, my brother.
My first story I remember of Jim, so my dad's owned the shop now for almost 30 years, and he's known Jim for nearly 30 years. So basically the majority of my life I've known him. Jim, first story I can really remember of him, I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. He took my dad and I on the train with him from Bay Head up to Long Branch, and we sat up front with him while he drove the train. Definitely wasn't allowed, but he snuck us in like through the window of the front car. We were up there. I got to honk the train horn and just see what he does while he drives it. It was so cool, especially as like a young boy of like 7, 8 years old. Seeing how trains are driven and stuff was wild. I remember having to duck down when another train passed. We didn't get in trouble. But it was like the coolest thing. And my first memory of Jim, and to date, I love trains. I'm working on some subway projects up in New York City right now, so it's cool. That's my first memory of him.
Met a camera you didn't like.
Okay. That is
he
true.
Doesn't mind.
That is
he
true.
doesn't mind.
Tell a couple Eric stories.
Well, no, he pays me not to tell any Eric stories,
Yeah?
so that
Oh,
I steer clear of those.
Okay.
I want him to still love me, you know. I don't want to be disowned. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Well, I'll tell you, Jim is special to me for many reasons, but I don't get to get down here nearly as often as I should. I'm not the greatest big brother in that sense, that I just don't get down here as often as I'd like to. But whenever I do, and whenever I did, Jim always made me feel like I was the most special person showing up at a board shop, showing up just to come down here at any particular time. And so he was a good man who always made, I think, everybody feel special. So, I used to think it was me, I'm the special guy, but no, Jim made everybody feel special. But he also made my parents feel special, in particular my dad. And my dad was telling me yesterday a little story, just saying how, he would have loved to have paddled out yesterday if he was still a young man. But what he really loved was the fact that, when Eric needed people to really be there for him, well, he was in the early days of the shop. Jim was that guy. Jim was that guy who helped make things happen and helped Eric to get through some of the challenges of being a small business owner and, knowing the lay of the land and getting things done. He was always there for him. And for that reason, my dad holds Jim, in a real special place in his heart. And I share that. I feel the same way about that. Additionally, and then I'll wrap up here, he made my mom feel special, and he showed up for us when my mom passed, and he made us feel loved, So that's who he is. That's who I see him as, a guy who makes people feel special and makes people feel loved, and, we love him, and he'll always be in my memories.
So we had an answering machine down in Forked River, and it was going back about 10, 15 years ago. And there's a message on there from Jim, and he's on there and he's talking a mile a minute, and he says, "Yeah, if it's no big to do it, you can give me a call. Just give me a little ringy dingy." And we just ever since then we called Jimbo the Big to Doey. So that's pretty much my story.
Yeah, that's a good one, man.
Big to Doey.
So Jim Bradley was the first custom that I ever made for the beach house, probably back in '96 or so. That board eventually became the juice model, or it was the prototype for the juice model. The funny thing about that board is I accidentally put side bite boxes in it, and Jim was adamant he wanted a single fin. But he was nice and took the board anyway. But since '96, almost every time I saw Jim, he would tell me, "Man, I loved that first board. It was great. But you accidentally put side bites in it. I really wish it didn't have the side bites." So for the rest of my life, I will never put side bites on Jim's boards.
Yeah, so Jim was a great guy. He was a family man. I met him when I was very, very little. He was more or less my father's friend first before mine. He worked on the train with my dad over the course of 28 years now, or 30 years. I met him through there, and then when I was a little bit older, I met him in the shop again when I was about 5 or 6 years old. I just knew him my entire life. Very funny, very active. He knew how to tell a story. He knew how to make a story come alive, per se, with all the movements, all the sound effects, every single thing. The guy was super funny. He was just a great character to be around. He's definitely going to be missed, especially in the shop setting. I worked here when I was about 15, 16 years old. He would come in, nice as could be. He could, if you're having such a bad day, he can turn that bad day completely upside down around. Just all around funny man, great guy, just, he's just one of a kind. I don't think there's ever going to be a guy like him ever again. And rest in peace, Jim. Miss surfing with you. Hope you got some good waves up there.
Jim Bradley, what a man. I can tell you that Jim was probably one of my husband's closest friends, always there for him, and would do anything for Eric, as Eric would do for Jim. I'm going to miss him, going to miss his theatrical chats, but I know that I'll see him again. And he's got a beautiful family, and it's a testimony to who he was. So God bless you, Jim.
All right, so Herman and I were just talking. My favorite Jim story. So we, about 10 or 12 years ago, we were doing a Christmas get together. So we're all going to meet at the old bar over here. That's actually this way, the Boathouse. Now, can't remember what it was back then, but. So Jim was on a break, and he decides he's going to come and meet us. And so we're all sitting around having a beer or two, and we look over, and in comes this guy with this black-colored wig, afro wig, and it was clearly one that you bought from like Walmart for a Halloween costume. And we thought Jim was joking. But he wasn't joking. He's like, I can't be seen. I can't be recognized. And we figured he'd take it off, but nope, he spent the whole 2 hours wearing that. Didn't drink a thing, but he was definitely recognized. But that was a great day. That was Jim. You didn't, you know, and sure enough, he was telling stories anyway and using his sound effects and all. So you
It was
knew
like nobody was
going
to know him, right?
No one was going to recognize him. But that was Jim, and I will never forget that day.
Okay.
The day Jim walks into the store, he comes in. I'd never met him before in my life. And he's telling me a story of Groggs selling his original Weber Professional off of Groggs' ceiling at his store. He went in and it was gone. And he was telling me how upset he was and how much he told me it made his balls crawl, which was very interesting. But he was telling me, like, I can't believe he sold it. And he went into this whole story about it. And by the end of our story, Jim's like, I got this old lightning bolt. Do you want to hang it over the ceiling? And he had just met me. And within a couple of days, it was hanging over our ceiling. And it was this cool old green, emerald green lightning bolt with electric blue pin lines. Just really cool. Most importantly for me about Jim is he was always there for me. He was just there to help, to be there. When I needed help, he was around. And no questions asked. He was there. We want to go to West Virginia to pick up a black cat. I called him the next morning. We were in the car driving. It's the way he was. We're going to miss you, Jimbo.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you, sir.
I know that might help. All right, so you can imagine I've got a ton of Jim stories. I'm going to narrow it down to two. And why are you messing with me? I'm going to narrow it down to two. And the first one I'm going to tell you, I can't do it. I can't do it with you there. Just stop. Just let me talk. Here, I'm going to go right here. I'm going to go right here. She's messing with me. That's not good.
I know. I'm keeping that. I'm keeping that in.